Did you know at this very moment someone is on Amazon and Etsy actively looking for a quality coloring and activity book to add to their shopping cart? The only question is, will it be yours? Since you're listening to this podcast, hence the name of the show, it's pretty safe to assume that you have a keen interest in creating and selling your first or next coloring book. And it's for that reason I want to assure you you're in the right place. And I'd like to help you make it a reality by inviting you to check out the Coloring Book Creator Mentor Program, the first of its kind complete A to Z course that features live weekly coaching, resources, templates, and an extremely supportive online community, all designed to assure that you create a standout in-demand coloring book that you'll actually enjoy creating, promoting, and selling. Imagine the feeling of knowing somewhere in the world someone is adding your beautiful new book to their shopping cart, investing in a piece of your creativity. Enrollment is open and you can get started by going to coloringbookcreatorcourse.com. That's coloringbookcreatorcourse.com. You're listening to the Coloring Book Creator Podcast, episode 21. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about why story is an essential ingredient for selling anything, especially coloring books. Something that I constantly preach to the members of my Coloring Book Creator Mentor Program, and if you're not familiar, I run a course and a membership program called the Coloring Book Creator. And in that program, I have a course where I walk my first-time coloring book author creators through a process on how to design, publish, and promote their first coloring book in 30 days. And if you'd like to know more about that program, a link is available in the show notes. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that in the program itself, I offer 6 live coaching calls per month, which is really unheard of in the online course community, especially at the price point I charge. Now, the reason why I offer such a high touch level of service is because it's super important to me that my members feel and know that they're always supported. Now, how does this tie back to the topic of this episode and why story is an essential ingredient for selling more copies of your coloring books and related products? And it's a simple one-word response. It's connection. The world of artificial intelligence and automated this and that, where we're continuously losing that one thing that we really crave more than anything else right now, and really more than really ever, is human interaction. No one wants to do everything alone. And that's the number one reason why I created my first program, my coloring club, which at the time I'm recording this is currently on pause. Now, if you're not familiar with MCC, the acronym for my coloring club was a weekly group virtual gathering where coloring book enthusiasts got together to connect, share life experiences, and color together. Kind of similar to a knitting club, but with coloring books instead of yarn and needles. Now, I ran that membership for about a year, and it was very well received from the beginning. In huge part, I contribute that to the high touch level of experience that I created from the start. Now, ultimately, I opted to shutter that membership because I felt that in its current iteration, it was no longer aligned with where I wanted to direct my energy, opting to focus exclusively on supporting newbie colorists produce and promote their first books. But even before I created my coloring club, the number one thing that I know for certain helped to create first my audience, soon to become my founding members of my coloring club, was their connection to me and being connected to others through me. And that the corner of that was through the sharing of my story. Now, it's something that I honestly cannot emphasize enough, because I feel that if there is a connection, if you feel a connection to me, if you feel I get you, I understand you, I genuinely want to connect with you and get to know you better, the far greater the chances are that we will bond and collaborate in some way. Now, whether it's through my books or my classes or my workshops or my Facebook group or any place on social, Connection to me is everything. And the surest way to do that is through story. Now, I want to be really clear here. I am absolutely not talking about making something up. I'm talking about sharing what really matters to you and why it matters to you. What do you stand for? And what are you committed to doing and with whom? For example, when I created my first coloring book, Never Too Late to Make It Happen, it was done as a result of my going through, at the time in my life, it was a really hard time a couple of years ago. I was actually going through a grieving process, having lost my father to a years-long battle with Alzheimer's. And if you lose a parent, typically you start thinking about your own mortality. At least I did. And as a result of that, I began questioning my life choices. I started examining my dreams and goals and things that I wanted to accomplish. The reality of facing growing older and worrying about the time that I had left and what was I going to do with it. Those questions, along with the support of a good therapist, helped me to sort through my feelings. And being the creative that I am, I decided to channel some of that energy into a project, that project being my first coloring book. I'll link to that in the show notes as well. The thing is that I share my experience constantly on my workshops and in my book and on my live calls with my members, and even as I seek media opportunities moving forward, because it's my unique point of view, it's my story that helps me connect with the people I'm here to serve, many of whom share similar feelings and experiences on a deeper level. So with that in mind, what does story have to do with you? Well, as you may or not be aware, at the time I'm recording this episode of the podcast, I'm hosting a free live event in my Coloring Book Creator live Facebook group called PR Secrets, 7 Ways to Get Media Attention so you can sell more books. Now, this is going to be a class/interview with my guest, Cheryl Bass, the self-published coloring book author of Baby Dragon's Big Sneeze that is sold to date over 400 copies in 6 months. Now, Cheryl is going to share her insights because she has experience not only as a journalist, but also in public relations as well as an author. So what I know for certain is that, and why I wanted to bring her on, is because we as authors, whether we're working on our book or our book is done, it is very important that we understand, and it's something, again, I teach constantly to my members of my program, that we as the creator of the book must get in front of the book. We cannot assume that because we've published a book and we put it up on Amazon or Etsy or wherever you want to place it, that just because it lives there, it's automatically going to start getting sales. You may have a random sale or two here and there, but I don't care if if you're publishing a coloring book or any type of book. I'm talking about from the most prolific authors out there in the world today. All of them make a strong, concerted effort to continuously promote and market their books. And the number one way they do that is through leveraging the power of the media. And I'm not talking just about social media. I'm talking about podcast, print and digital publications, blogs, television and radio, speaking opportunities, even influencer partner opportunities, and so much more. And that's the number one reason why I wanted to bring Cheryl onto this particular class, because she's an expert in all of these areas. Now, I just want to give you a quick overview of what's going to be covered during this workshops or class, I should say, / interview. Number one, why you must get clear on your story and why it's essential to securing the right media opportunities. As you've heard me say throughout this episode about the power of story, I freely talk about why I published my book, why I created the book, what was going on in my life that made me want to even do the book. And believe you me, I will be sharing that story as I seek my own media opportunities, because I want to connect with people who also have gone through major life changes and wanted to look for new directions in their life, maybe questioning the choices that they've made in their life, but wanting to do a reset because of a major life event like losing a parent or losing a job or a career they thought they would have for a while. So I want to connect with people on that level, because it's that connection that is going to bond us together, whether you're reading about me on a blog or hearing me on a podcast or seeing me on a TV show or whatever the case may be. Will what I offer be applicable to everyone that hears me or sees me or whatever? No, but the right people who want to know more about the things I do and the things I offer would be of interest, and they'll raise their hand. They'll self-select themselves and reach out to me. But that only happens because they must connect to me on some level. Where your story is, and I say your why is essential to not only connecting and bonding, but securing the right opportunities. And we're going to talk about that. And I'd love for you to think about that before you actually come to the live event, if you're able to make it. And again, I'll put the link in the show notes. This moves on to the second point we're going to talk about. What is a compelling hook and why you must have one? Number 3, how to craft a press release that makes an editor and or media contact stop and read. 4, where to find media contacts to send your release or pitch to. Number 5, and this is very important, prepping your online presence for media attention, which also impacts sales. What I'm talking about here is, if you have your book listed on Amazon, how to get your Amazon listing more spruced up so that it looks more inviting and engaging to people who may go over to look at it, and increase the chances that they might buy your book. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about everything from additional categories that you can add your book if it's currently listed, and how to get more solid book reviews, because that's going to be important as well. Number 6, we're going to talk about why it's important to create connections offline as well as online. And we'll cover the best practices for that, including approaching bookstore owners, librarians, Facebook group admins, and trade associations. And lastly, number 7, Cheryl is going to share a list of what I have soon, and I have recently discovered a list of not so known resources that can help you get a lot more media attention and sales. And the list of those resources, you're going to walk away with that. That list alone, I can tell you now, is going to be priceless. And the best part about it, it's totally free for you to attend. So this is what I'm going to wrap this with. If you are committed and serious about not just selling your book, but becoming what I call a coloring book publishing entrepreneur, I refer to us as coloring bookpreneurs, I really can't recommend this workshop enough. Now, the link to RSVP is available in the show notes of this episode, and the link is going to go to an event I created inside the Coloring Book Creator Live Facebook group. All you have to do is just click that you can come, and you will receive a notification from Facebook before we go live. I am going to stream. The plan is to stream it live in the group, but only up for 24 hours. Only up for 24 hours, and then it's going to go away. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want serious people who are serious about moving forward on this and taking advantage of this opportunity. I want serious people to take advantage of this because I feel like this is going to be a game changer for you. Even if your book is not done, I still highly recommend that you do this, because there is nothing saying that you cannot start attracting media opportunities for yourself even before your book is released. That's how valuable I feel this information is. The links to everything that I've mentioned is in the show notes here. Feel free to click on those. Again, we'd love to have you. You can come attend live. There's going to be some time available at the end to answer some questions. So if you have any questions about anything that's going to get shared, that will be available to you as well. In the meantime, until we meet, and the date for this, again, at the time I'm recording this, the date for this free experience is going to be Wednesday, April the 12th, 2023 at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. in the UK, and it'll run about an hour and a half. The plan is to take you through these steps and then allow some time to answer questions at the end. Again, I can't recommend this enough, but what I will leave you with this before I wrap up this episode. Between now and the time of this class, I encourage you to think about, if your book is done, think about the why. Why did you produce this book? Why this topic? Because in answering that question of the why, you will begin to get details about your story. On the actual class, we will roadmap how to then craft that story so that it is of high interest to the right editors and media opportunities. Story is the foundation of connection, period, bar none. So think about that. Think about why. And if you haven't done your book, why do you want to do a book? And what is that book about? And why is that subject of interest or passion to you? Because again, your why impacts the story. The story impacts the why impacts the story. The clearer you can get about that, the easier it's going to be for you to craft those opportunities, the hook, the press release. All of that will happen as a result of getting clear about that. All the rest of it is mechanics, where to find the contacts, who to pitch, who to send your pitch or release to, getting your listing spruced up. All of that will be secondary to getting this part right first. And again, before the hook can happen or anything else mechanically gets to happen, you need to get clear about the why and your story, your experiences in your life, whatever those things were, impacts that and why you chose to do what you're doing. I can't emphasize enough how important this is. I think this is going to be a massive opportunity, whether you are in the Coloring Book Creator Mentor Program or not. I think this is going to be a massive opportunity for you. And I will say, just to be fully transparent, I will be extending an invitation to check that out if you would like to get your book published, and or if the book is published, start getting more opportunities like this to promote and increase the sales of your books. This is going to be a continuation beyond what's going to happen on the class on April the 12th. With that said, would be beyond over the moon to meet you again. And again, the link is going to be available inside the group to join us. If you have any questions for me about any of the things that I discussed today, I also invite you to ask those questions inside the Facebook group. Again, under the event, there's a comment section there. You can ask me questions there, and I'll set those aside, and perhaps we can address some of those questions on the Q&A section of the class that's happening on April the 12th. So with that being said, I am so grateful to have you listening to the show. Again, we just crossed over our 600 download mark. We're a young show, but we're growing rapidly, and I'm very excited about that. And the last thing I'll ask before we wrap is that if you found value in what I've shared today or any of the episodes that I've shared up to this point, I would be very grateful if you would leave a review and rate the show. It goes a long way towards helping more people find the show. And the more people that listen to the show, I feel like it's going to even make it even bigger and grow even more and support and help more people, which is what I'm most committed to more than anything. Sorry for my fumble there, but I get very excited about that because it just means a lot to me that you're listening. I know you have a lot of things that you could be listening to or watching or doing, and the fact that you take the time to spend this little bit of time with me means a lot. I'd love to have you on April the 12th for this new free workshop class/experience. And I will see you then. All righty. So this is Rodney Washington, your host, signing off.